It's the Tang gang. Tang gang. What it is? What it is? Yeah. What up, Tang gang? Every time we go live, you know we do the damn thing. Yeah, we up in here like Muhammad Ali. We up in here. Yeah, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. But the problem is these Christians wanna come around with these apologies, these apologetics. But guess what? It's just bullshit. Yeah, I heard you, Pastor. I told him to take it back to the pulpit. Yeah, that's that bullshit. And if you wanna get it, come get it, man. Yeah, cause we spit it. What? We spit it. What? Do you wanna do it, man? We get livid. Yeah, we get sick with it. Yeah, let's get it. Yeah, the Tang gang. Tang gang. Yeah, Tang gang. Y'all know what it is. Yeah, Tang gang. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. And a big shout out goes to all of our patrons, all of our YouTube members, and for everybody that shows up every time we go live. All of you are the rock stars of the Atheist Network group. Remember that. Tang gang. Tang gang. Oh, hey. What? Don't forget. What? Atheist Handbook to the Old Testament. Volumes 2 and 3 are coming out. What? Get ready. Oh, get ready. Yeah. Woo!
I'll never tire of that guy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Atheist Network group, where tonight we're at a little different time slot. Normally we do this Sundays. Thank you, babe. We do this Sundays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, but we're doing it tonight, Monday night at 9 p.m. Usually we do the call-in show, but I did it for two reasons. One, I was out of town all weekend in Columbus, Ohio, which I'll talk about here in a second. And selfishly, I didn't want to come on here and look like an idiot because I didn't get the normal time to put in for studying everything because I was gone. But yeah, and the old man at the end, part of the reason I put that on there is because he looks a lot like my grandpa that passed a few years ago, and he had that big infectious smile and would laugh at the most ridiculous things, and I could just imagine me making a stupid joke and him laughing about it. So I was like, oh, this is fucking perfect. But anyway, Dr. Josh, the professor here for learning to read ancient Sumerian, how are you, man?
Yeah, doing okay.
Chilling.
Yeah, man.
Anything exciting going on in the world of the Bowens?
Screaming babies.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Not really. Those days are over for me. Yeah, I had a great weekend. We what did I go? I think I left Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. Went over to the armpit of America, better known as Columbus, Ohio, and hung out with the Pasta Mike, and Natey Nate, and we did some fun footage that I shared one with Dr. Josh backstage, but I'm not going to share that one yet. I want everybody to go see that one live because it is epic. When I ask him, why he's not a pastor, the answer
is pretty good.
Is probably the best answer to date that I've received. So I can't wait for you guys to hear that. But I will share the one. It's not as funny, but it was rather interesting. We were in one of the parking garages, and we started chatting with I think there were two Ohio State students, and the just random question we were asking people is, hey, you want to talk about Jesus Christ? And we either got a no or, hell yeah. I think we only had one person tell us no, actually. And these two got to talking, and one was Catholic and the other was your standard run-of-the-mill American Christian, but both believed in Jesus and Jesus is real and yada yada yada. And by the end of it, you'll get to see the questioning, kind of how we got there. But into the conversation, both of them said, well, we really only believe because we want to see like their grandparents that have passed. We hope that we could get to see family members when we die. We don't really have any good reason to to believe that Jesus or a God of the Bible existed. So there's some funny ones that we have, and then there's some ones like that where you're like, damn, once you start getting through the questions, it was very interesting. So we did that, and then Pasta's putting together a little short, I don't know if you want to call it a documentary or kind of a short film or video on my, not just my life and my story, but some of the recent events in my life, and then just the toxicity, if I can talk tonight, that can come with being a part of organized religion, and kind of the underbelly, the ugliness that lies there. There's a lot of people that sit in these churches every Sunday, and you know this, Dr. Josh. You were a Christian for years. There's your, again, run-of-the-mill Christian that just comes on Sundays, isn't really involved in the behind the scenes, or doesn't get to see the underbelly. They have no idea how ugly they can get. They have no idea how much hurt and damage that organization can do. So I think oh yeah, and then two announcements. So today's Monday, so this Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and I'll have that time updated tonight. We're having the last of the 3-part series with Aunt Kathy, Nicole, and Aaron, her daughters, and myself, and talking about family and religion and what it looked like back then, and now being on the other side of it, and us, Nicole and Aaron and myself being adults, and now looking back at it, the impacts that it's made, and the long lasting, impacts and impressions that it's made. So that'll be this Wednesday. That'll be the last one. Don't miss that. We have all 3 of those beautiful ladies on there to talk about together. And I try to take myself off the screen as much as I can to not distract from the actual content. But and then on the 20, I believe it's 22nd. It's on the website. I updated it today, but so this on the 22nd of October. Captain Dadpool will be debating adherent apologetics. I just did the final booking, all that today. So we'll have that debate in there, debating, does God exist? So it's the age-old question, but I don't think these two have debated yet. So it should be a good one. So I think that's all. It's good to be back. I felt like that, like 3 or 4 days I was gone. I was like, man, I haven't been on stream. I haven't talked to anybody in like a fucking week. It's weird, but good to see everybody. Dr. Josh, good to see you. And I'll shut the hell up now. Teach me how to read Ancient Sumerian, please.
All right. Well, we are in chapter 4 this week. So we're going to be talking about, if you remember, if you want to share my whiteboard, there we go. If you remember last week, or I guess it was the week before now, we learned these endings that go on nouns. So if you have uru, ta, uru means city and ta means from, you would translate that from the city. These endings, they attach to the ends of nouns, and they're like prepositions in English. So one of the things that's interesting about Sumerian is that it will help you. It will give you clues for translating. And some of the clues that it gives is it will tell you about, it'll tell you to look for certain things in the sentence when you get to the verb. Let me explain what I mean by that. So what have we done? We've done we've seen this verb a lot. Do 3 means to build. And then this part back here is the verbal chain, right? We remember that much. We haven't learned what mu and un are, but we remember that do 3 is the verbal base. That's what they call that, the actual verb to build. And then this stuff that comes before it makes up the verbal chain. Well, in here, they can put ta, for example. And when you see that, which would look like this, let's say, A3 means to go, like to go out. See how ta is in the middle here. What that tells you, if it's in the verbal chain, it's telling you, hey, go back earlier in the sentence and find ta. Right? It's corresponds is not the word that I'm thinking of, but it's like it's complementary. It's anyway, it's putting this ta in the verb, and that tells the reader, hey, go in the sentence somewhere and find that ta, because there's one out there. They match up, they correspond to one another. So in the sentence, Lugal, Uru ta, ba ta, A3. Forget about ba for right now. A3 means to go out, right? What does Lugal mean?
King.
Good. Uru means city. And what does ta mean?
From.
Good. So ta here in the verbal chain, it's telling you to go back and look at this. It corresponds to that ta up there. So the way that we would translate this is the king went out from the city. That's it. Does that make sense?
I believe so.
Just okay.
So the ta is going to be in there twice. Is that correct?
Yeah. So let me write it a little bit smaller so it looks normal. This would be very common to see.
Okay.
This is your verb. And then this is from, right? This is your case ending. This ta here that's in the verbal chain, it's very frequently not there. Let me say this. Oops. Whoa. If you were to see this, ba A3. Again, don't worry about what ba means necessarily, but A3 is to go out. So this would mean the king went out from the city. But to help you, Sumerian can put that ta in there. And all it's doing is it's like it's an arrow pointing you back. Hey, there's a ta back there somewhere that this corresponds to.
That's what I was going to ask. So the one that's giving you the indicator to go back, it's always going to come after the first ta, right? Is that what you're saying? It's always going to be.
Yeah, that's right. It's always going to be in the verb, and the verb it comes at the end of the sentence.
Okay.
That's right. So it's not like you translate this ta twice. It's not like you say the king went out from the city, right? 1 from here and 2 from here. No, it's just all all this is telling you is, hey, look back here. That's all it's doing, is it's pointing you back.
Got it.
Excellent. It's like a mirror. Maybe think of it as a mirror for this ta up here. So that's the big thing that we're going to be getting into this week. But before we do, even though I've done it a little bit, I did want to talk a little bit about that verbal chain. So the example that I give here in the book, and I gotta learn to write neater.
Everybody in the chat, just wait till he spells Johnny.
Yes, with an A. That's how I do it. You know, it was funny, just a brief aside. I remember I was teaching a Bible study when I was in the service. And I have been doing this all my life. I cannot write and speak at the same time. It just doesn't work. And I went up to the board and I had drawn this map. And I said, all right, so over here is Asia, ASIA. Right? I wrote that up on the board. And they never, ever forgot that. Ever.
Of course not.
For the next like 6 years. ASAI. That's what I heard all the time. ASAI. Shut up, you idiots. Just kidding. I never said that. But okay.
You stupid idiots.
So let's talk a little bit about this. This is a verbal chain. Now, Oz, tell me again, why do we call it a verbal chain?
Well, the way I do describe it is because we have, whether it's the verbs or nouns or whatever, they're chained together.
Okay.
To form, the thought or the sentence or whatnot.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's one aspect of it. In the verb itself, and this whole thing is the verbal form. This whole thing is the verbal form. They call it a chain, the verbal chain itself, because each of these parts, the nu, the mu, the ra, the ab, they're all grammatical elements. And they link together like this. And you can add another component in to the chain. So that's why they call that a verbal chain. Just so, as I say it over and over again, people won't think, why is he saying that? The chain can be very short. The chain can be much, much longer. It just depends on how much information the scribe that's writing this thing wants to give the reader. Like, they can write out, for example, that ta that we looked at before. Since they don't have to write it in there. If you knew, like, if native Sumerian speaker or reader wouldn't need the ta in there necessarily. But in the same way, if I were to write what's that say?
Josh is thirsty and he wants to study.
Yeah. This is an R, not an N. But you get Josh went. Now what is it?
To the store.
Yep. Store.
Okay. Yesterday.
Now, how do you know that? There aren't any vowels in there.
Because I'm a fucking genius.
Right. You know English. Right. You know it well, and you can fill in the vowels. So in the same way, they don't have to put a lot of this stuff in here because they just know it. So particularly in older Sumerian, you'll see very short verbal chains. because they don't put all those other grammatical markers in there because they don't have to. In the same way that you can read this. By the way, Hebrew, and this always gets people, Hebrew originally didn't have vowels, right? So, sorry, I ran out of room here. They didn't have vowels. These are all just consonants. Oops. All those in blue are vowels or vowel markings, right? So they added them later so that people wouldn't forget how it's supposed to be pronounced, right? But they didn't need them. So the same is true with Sumerian. Same is true with a lot of different languages. And a very simple example of that, just last thing, is this. You don't need do not, right? You can put that little apostrophe there and be fine with don't, because you know what that is. You don't need it to be completely spelled out. Anyway, okay. So this is the verbal base. And we've seen do 3 all the time to build. So the verbal base is always going to be in the verb. It has to be there. It's like, what is the verb? It's the main part of the verb. It has to be there. And then there are other things that can appear in a verb. And I don't want you to memorize any of this. I just want you to be familiar with it. This new at the front, for example, is, and I'm probably going to have to restart this program. Hang on a second. Is that going to work? Close enough. It's just a little sluggish. So new here is not. So this basically negates the whole verb. So instead of saying, I went to the store, I did not go to the store. So this is not this new up here. This thing here, mu, is called a conjugation prefix. And again, you don't have to remember any of this right now, but it'll show up at or near the beginning of the verbal chain. This ra is a dative infix. And if you remember the dative, I'm just going to have to restart this. The dative is ra, that goes on the end of a noun, lugal ra. Well, this ra is a dative infix. This ab is actually b. B is the a here is just a vowel that mirrors this a over here. But the b is a pronominal marker. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is that all of these things in here that I'm pointing to, they're all grammatical features. They all mark something grammatically in the verbal chain. So as we move forward, just know that that verbal chain will have other things in it besides this verbal base. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. I'm going to stop. Okay.
No, I said so far we're good.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second so I can reset this. Because it started to go sluggish.
The sluggish, buggish bone.
Nice. All right. Let's try that. Okay, so now let's get to those case elements. So if you remember the dative, I know I'm going to be testing your memory here a little bit, but that ra on the end, if I said lugal ra, do you remember what that ra is?
To or from. Boom, roasted.
Nice. Two or four, you got it. So it's like to the king or for the king. You'll often see this in something like, I spoke to the king. So the dative, that's what this is called, the dative case, can appear inside the verbal chain. And I'm going to write out the paradigm here. And actually, those are the only three I'm going to focus on right now. The other ones are what? Meh and meh. Yeah. I'll just draw them real quick. Okay. So this is to me, to you, singular, to her or him, to us, to you, plural, and then to them. So you see how that's set up? To me, to you, to her. Is that the first, second, third person, singular and plural? Now, notice the dashes here that I'm writing.
Yep.
Okay. The fact that there's not a dash here means that this one will always come at the beginning of the verbal chain. All the rest of these come in the middle, in between other things.
And with the to you plural, is it literally going to be a question mark?
No, it means we don't know what it is.
Damn it.
Sorry. I know, because you've seen this, right? You figure we could put anything in there. Okay. So let's see these in practice. Like, how do they actually work? So, ma, do 11. Actually, that's fine. So, like, let's just assume for a second. He said, he spoke. That's what the do 11 is here. What is the ma? This is all the verbal chain right here, the whole thing.
That would be the first person singular to me?
Yes, to me. So if you just saw ma do 11, you could say, probably, he spoke to me. Right?
Yep.
So let me lay this out so that it becomes clearer. The second person singular is ra. So if I said mu ra do 11, and we'll just again say he spoke. This is just a conjugation prefix, so you don't have to worry about it. That ra infix is the dative. And which one is it? Is it first person singular, second person singular, or third person singular?
Second.
And then what does that mean?
What do you mean?
He spoke.
To us.
Close. So second person is you.
You.
Singular or plural? You can look at your chart if you need to.
Well, that would be plural if it's right.
Why?
Never mind. It's singular.
Right. The plural is the one we don't know. So if you saw mu question mark, just kidding. And but by the way, the reason that we don't know, just in case anybody's curious, is that putting a grammar together, figuring out what an ancient language says, you have to have examples of it. So if there aren't any examples of to you in the plural in the verbal chain, you won't know what it is because it's not in the writing, and you have to have something example of it. So, all right. So if we saw ma do 11, this would be he said to me, or he spoke to me. If we saw Mu Ra do 11, it'd be he spoke to you, singular. What if we saw Mu Na do 11?
Him or her?
Beautiful. He spoke to him or to her. So very frequently, you will see something like this, just so we can put it in context. So let's break it down. Lugal?
The king?
Yep. The Ra here?
Me? No.
All right.
You?
Okay. So it's all right. I hear what you're doing. It'll take a minute, and that's okay. Remember, the Ma, the Ra, and the Na, we're only talking about the ones that appear in the verbal chain.
Oh.
We learned last week all about the ones that are on the nouns. So here, what do we have in the verbal chain?
To him or her.
Good. So let's say for a second we just did this. Forget about this. What's this mean?
Which one?
Sorry, this one.
Ooh, all it's coming to my head is the king right now.
Yep. Okay. All right. If I said,
oh, I know that one. God damn it. From.
good, from the king, right? It's just the case ending. What's the raw case ending? The one that attaches to the noun, not the one that's in the middle of the verbal form.
I don't remember which.
Okay. It's the dative to or for.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So this is,
God damn it.
yep. That's all right. So this is to or for the king, right? So let's start over, just because that probably looks really bad. Lugal Ra, to the king. Mu, na, do 11. Now this na is a dative, right? A dative, we call it a dative infix because it's fixed in the verbal chain, an infix. This ra is a suffix. This is a dative suffix, goes on the noun. The na here is just pointing you to the ra. That's all it's doing.
That's what I have to remember, is to look ahead.
Yes.
Because I'm not, obviously English, I'm not used to looking ahead to, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what'll happen. And actually what'll happen is you'll start to actually just look at the whole sentence at the same time. So he spoke to the king is how you would translate that. And that na right there is just an arrow pointing you back to that ra. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's literally that's. I just have to train my brain to look ahead before to look ahead before I worry about what's right in front of me.
It'll become much easier and much clearer the further the more you do this. Okay. So now that the dative is actually the hardest one, I think. So now that you've got that, we talked a little bit about the ablative, the ta, but let's talk about da. So do you remember what da means? So if I said lugal da,
No.
okay, this is with the king. So you can say,
Oh, God damn it. Yeah. Now you said it because I was going to try to remember. I'm with the homies.
Nice. There you go. That's how it works. Ba da nyen. So nyen means to walk. So he walked. Why did I do that like that? He walked. What do you think? How would we translate that? He walked.
He walked with the king.
Good. And what's this da right here doing in the middle of the verbal chain? What is that?
Telling you to take your ass back to the first part.
There you go.
There's going to be a da.
There you go. He walked with the king. Now, there's something else that can happen with these, another clue, another hint that they can give you to let you know what you should be looking for when you look back, if that's a good way to think about it. And they can actually tell you, should you be looking for someone in the first person, second person, third person, singular, plural. They can tell you that. So, for example, and this is something you just want to probably remember right now. If you see an N before something or a B before something, it probably is indicating, well, this N is indicating a third person animate. And what does that mean when I say animate? As opposed to third person inanimate.
It means it's a thing, a real thing.
Okay. Inanimate would be a thing, right? Like a sheep or...
Hold on. Inanimate.
If you think of anime...
Okay, I'm sorry. Got him flipped around. So...
Yep.
Reverse. Yep.
So, like somebody who's really animated, a person would be really animated. So people and gods are animate objects, animate things. Inanimate would be like a table or a sheep or whatever. Okay. So if you see N, that's going to be a person. Think about it as a person. B will be an it, like an inanimate thing. Okay. So let me explain what I mean. If you see in a verbal chain, and I'm writing the N here, it'll actually look like this. It'll be like, there'll be this other vowel connecting it that doesn't mean anything. So you'll see something like mu, unda. That U is just, yeah, you get it. The N is what we're wanting to focus on. So you would normalize this like that. Da means with, right?
With.
This means, huh?
I was agreeing with.
Okay. With him or with her.
Got it.
Okay. If you saw mu, ub, da in a verbal chain, which would, man, I've run out of room here. Sorry. Mu, ub, da, I don't know, nyen, or whatever. This, we would normalize, right? The B, this U is just because of that. This is with it.
It.
So the thing that comes before it is the object that it's with whom it is going.
Very nice.
So if I were to say ta with a B before it, what do you think that would mean?
Let's see the. I think I just confused myself.
Okay.
Hold on. The B. Let's see. The B is the person or God, right?
Other way around. N.
Oh, that's right. God damn it.
Yep.
So I think the ta. I think that's what.
Yeah. So ta means from.
From. Okay.
So this will be this one would be from it.
From it. Okay.
And this would be from him or from her.
Word.
I know that it's a little unorthodox. It's not how we think. But let me just maybe I'll give you the paradigm and it'll make sense. Which one did I use? Use da, I think. Yes. Okay. So this is with me, with you, with her or him, with it. And you read it this way, right? So this means that there isn't anything that you'll see. They don't put anything in there for a first person singular. So, of course, we have to mark it with a 0 because that's just how we are. To say with you, you use this E. They put an E before it. N for with him or her, and B is it. Now, I won't lie to you. Like this is one of those places, like when I gave you the different forms of the case endings, like sha-3 or ta, you just have to memorize them. Okay. This is one of those places. There aren't a lot of these, actually, where you just have to memorize them, right? But don't worry about it. This is good for you to know, but it's not like this won't be in your face all the time. There are certain ones. These right here, these are the important ones. The N and the B. Those are the important ones.
Yeah, I'm finding so far that it's nothing other than just practice and continue to, study and look at it. But my biggest hurdle is not reading left to right every single time, and trying to remind myself, oh no, that's not how we do it here.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. It will, I promise it will become more natural. And honestly, probably the best thing you can do if you get through all the exercises, and not just you, Oz, I mean, everybody watching, once you get through the exercises for your week, and if you have some extra time, like do your vocabulary flashcards, obviously write out your cuneiform signs, all that stuff. But when you get time, start, in lesson 1 and do all the exercises again. And go back to the back of the book and give explanations. So, for example, what are we in 4? So, like in lesson 3, we had this form, just so you can see what's back there. Lugal, A2, E3, Nyen. And what I write is Lugal. So I normalize it. right? So I normalize, and then I write the answer. The king went into the house. So the king, this is the subject of this, went into the house, and then I explain it. If we begin with the verb without worrying about the E3 yet, so don't worry about this yet, we know that nyen means to go, an intransitive verb. If we look back in the sentence, we see that there is a likely subject for the verb to go, lugal. So if we translate the king went, that just leaves us with a2 ah. We know that a2 means house, and the ah is likely the locative case ending meaning into. In other words, I take time to try to write out a good explanation. This is one of the things that's lacking in first year grammars. They just give you the answer, and they may even give you the normalization, but they don't explain exactly how it goes together because it takes a lot of time. So yeah, go back through the exercise and then actually go to the answer key and read the answers and read the explanations again. Okay, enough of that. Okay, we are coming down to the wire here.
And real quick for everyone, whether you're listening now or watching now, or you see this later on, one thing that's really been helping me. Well, this chapter is one of the shorter ones, but I told Dr. Josh for whatever reason I went through the chapter a couple times and even watched the video. I think 2 or 3 times. It just wasn't clicking. But the first 3 chapters, I would read the chapter and I would go watch the original video that Dr. Josh and Megan did on their channel. Then I'd read the chapter again and then maybe watch it one more time if there were still things that I was struggling with. That way when I come in here and it's live, it's like, okay, now I can ask questions with a decent understanding, of what's going on. So if you are moving along with us in the book, if you have time, even if you're at work and you don't watch the video, you just plug it in your headphones and listen, as Dr. Josh. And the nice thing is they're only like anywhere from like 13, like 22, 23 minutes long, so it's very, very, very easy to get through them and listen to them multiple times if you need to. So I want to make sure that I say that too, because it's helped me.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully. And we don't charge all that much to watch them. I think it's free. So
yeah. Big money.
Big money. Big atheist money. That's where it comes from. All right. So the locative we just saw in the example from lesson 3, A2 ah. It's A2 means house. Ah here is the locative in. So in or into the house. So what do they use to point to the locative? Well, they use ni. So let's see, mu, ni, nyen. He went into the house. So that's how they mark it. And it's really that simple. One thing to note. There are times, and this is, again, Sumerian is very much like, it can be very much like, particularly at first, putting a puzzle together. Because sometimes they're less than clear. So, for example, you could say, like we just saw here, A2 ah, and let's say ba, ni, nyen, right? The ni refers to the ah here. But they could also write it this way in the writing system. Ba, an, nyen. Which is weird, right? Because you expect ni, but for whatever reason, they can just write it like this with only preserving the N. So actually, when you would normalize this, you would say A2, ah, ba, ni, nyen. This N is representing ni. Sucks, but true. The nice thing is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just make sure I have clarity here. So that the knee, the N-I, what is that?
It is the locative infix, and all it's doing is it's the way that it's the form that they use to point to the locative case ending on the noun. So in the same way that ta pointed back to the ta there, the knee, it looks completely different from ah, right? You would expect like what, ba, ah, yen, right? That would be nice if they'd done that, but they didn't. For whatever reason, instead of writing ah, they wrote knee.
And how, I guess that's where I'm glad I asked. I think that's where I'm confused. So what is, I mean, I know knee is sitting against back, but what, how do I know that?
You have to just remember.
Okay.
It sucks.
Well,
it sucks. Like some of them are easy, right? Ta here, they look the same. The next one that we're going to see, Uru, She 3, the form that they write instead of She 3 is they write she. So she looks a lot like She 3.
Okay.
Right? But not exactly the same.
So
this one.
So need the N-I, I'm sorry, I don't want to forget what I had on the tip of my tongue there. So the knee, the N-I, then has nothing to do with knee, the third person plural to them.
Isn't that ne?
I don't know. I'm just guessing how to.
Yeah. Oh no. So, sorry, no. No, nothing at all. They're spelled differently, but no, nothing.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because
yeah.
I'm learning to not assume.
Oh yeah, no. That's a good question. And yeah, like again, if I just write this out, I don't know, like da, ta, right? She 3, da. Oh, I already did da. What am I missing? Yeah, the dative's weird, right? Because it has different forms. Yeah. So then this one's just weird, right? Ni goes with ah. In the same way that na goes with ra. It's just weird. Some of these are great and simple. Like, ooh, great. Oh, I'm excited. Yeah, that's not so bad. What the fuck is going on here? And I don't get that, right? But you just kind of have to go. But this is again one of the places that it's just you got to memorize them. But again, as you see it 30, 40, 50 times, it's like, okay, yeah, I remember.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure I wasn't missing a connection.
No.
Piece there.
No, you got it. All right. Well, that's it for the grammar. So we're at the hour mark. Let's do, if you want, let's do a couple of the exercises. Just so we can go through it. And you can feel so good about what you've learned.
You're going to learn today. Oh, Jesus Christ, help me. I'm leaving.
What?
That's a lot.
Sorry, I gotta go down in the next line.
Oh, this is going to be a massacre.
Nope, you'll be fine. All right, so this is all one line. I just had to put it on two. So let's start off. Tell me what you recognize. Just anything. Doesn't matter what. Like, let's start with these little D's up here.
D's nuts. All right, so let me rewind for a minute because I saw that and my brain literally panicked. The D's. Hold on, I know this. The D.
They stand for this word.
God.
Yes. So they're called the divine determinative. Right?
Oh, yes. Okay.
And what do they mean? What do they tell us?
That it's a God?
Yes.
Yeah.
That the word that comes after it is a God. So we know that
Enlil.
and that.
Yes.
There you go. Enlil, perfect. Name of a deity. So Enlil. And then this is another deity, Ningirsu. Ningirsu. Okay. So now look, we've done 50%. 50% of the sentence, just like that. Look at you, right? All right. So we've got Enlil and Ningirsu. Now that leaves this E, this Sheth3, right? So which one of those do you recognize first?
I was going to say the E, but now they're both evading me.
Okay. Do they look familiar?
Familiar, yes.
Good. That's all you need right now. Is there anything that looks like that Sheth3 elsewhere in the sentence?
In that sentence, I would say the end of the Enlil.
Okay. Yeah, because of the E's. I see what you're saying. What's this?
See, senor.
All right. So let's go back. The Sheth3. Sheth3 is the terminative, right? It means to or toward something.
Oh,
you remember that?
Now,
right.
Yep.
So this would be toward or to Ningirsu, right?
Okay.
Do you remember how the E can function as a case ending on a noun?
No, not right now.
The ergative. Do you remember what the ergative is? It tells you who the subject of the sentence is. Oops, I can't.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And more appropriately, the agent. But it's the subject of a transitive verb. So Enlil's the subject. So if we were to write the sentence, I would say Enlil. So he's going to be the one that's in charge of this verb. Now I'm going to give you, because we haven't learned this yet. The verb here is it's a two-parter. The verb is Iggy bar. Iggy bar. Iggy means eye, like the eyeball.
Okay.
And bar means to like open. So to open the eye, to look at. And the object, you wouldn't know any of this. The object, like the thing that you look at with this verb Iggy bar, is marked with a Sheth3. That's just how they mark it.
What was what was it? How'd you say it? Sheth3.
Sheth3.
What was it? What did that mean again? My brain's all shuffled.
That's right. To or toward.
So
it's like he's literally looking toward something, the object. That's how they mark it with the Sheth3. So Enlil looked at or toward can say if you want.
Look toward Nin Greer. I'd say Nin Greer.
JeGaysus, yes. So Enlil, marked with this E as the subject of the verb. The verb is Iggy bar, right? So what is this she doing right here?
Telling us to look back.
Beautiful. That's all it's doing. And she goes with Shethri. The mu here is just a conjugation prefix. You don't have to worry about what it means. But Enlil, subject to the sentence, looked at or toward JeGaysus. Oz, it's just that simple.
God damn it. That is one. And see, that's actually why, like, it reminds me of my school days, like my panic, my brain panic and anxiety goes through the roof. I see all that on there, like, oh my God, I know I've read some of this shit, but now I don't remember. But then you start to break it down. It's like, oh, that was pretty simple.
Well, this will be even easier.
Oh, Jesus.
Even easier.
I feel like you're bullshitting right now.
I am not. And I always write it so big I have to go to the next line. Sorry. All right. Tell me what you recognize.
The king.
And actually, you know what? I'm going to do this. Can you see the...
Can I see
this
cursor?
This mouse? Yeah.
Yep.
So that I don't mark up the page all that much. All right. So you recognize king. What else do you recognize? What's this?
D.
Superscript.
D means we're going to be talking about a god.
So then Utu is
a god.
And do you know which god it is? Utu.
Sounds like it's from Star Wars. The sun.
He's the sun god. Hooray! And he's a happy sun god.
Smileys.
Okay. So Utu.
Moo. I don't need to know what moo is.
Okay. Don't need to know what it is. That's right. We can just cross that out for now. Do you remember what do 11 means?
Ooh. That do 11. No, not right now.
To say or to speak?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So leaves us just a couple of things. So you've got king here. What is this Ra?
To you.
Yes. Well, sorry, I see what you're saying there. Close. It would be to you if it were here. But remember, we have to distinguish between, is it in the verbal chain or is it out here on the noun? If it's out here on the noun, it's the same as if you saw Shethri or Ta or Da or Ah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah,
all case endings.
So na tells us to look back for bra.
Yes. Brilliant. That is exactly right. So this na tells us go look for Ra. And what does Ra mean?
Raman. Ra is I want to say that's you.
If it were in here, it would be. You are never going to forget it in the case in the verbal chain. It's awesome. It just means two or four. Remember, it's the dative. You got it, dude. I'm throwing a lot at you here. You're picking it up very well. All right, so let's go back. Where's my cursor? So this tells you to look back here to the Ra. The Ra means
to
the king. Okay.
The king.
All right. So now let's put it together. Who's the subject? Do you think?
I'm gonna say it's Utu.
Utu, beautiful, because it's the only thing left, right? Utu
said or spoke to the king.
Beautiful. Utu spoke to the king.
Boom, bitches.
Boom, roasted. All right. Do we want to do one more?
Let's do one more.
All right, we'll do one more. All right. I'll try to write a little bit smaller here.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Real Time, a high school dropout. Learn how to speak a dead language. Are you not entertained?
Learning Sumerian. I mean, like, this ain't no joke. All right. So do you remember what column means? It's not an argument for the cosmos.
Yes, it's I know this. Don't write it and don't say it.
I won't.
It's like grand or greatness or something like that.
Oh, you're thinking of Kala with a G outside.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yep. Kalam is land. Does that ring a bell? Or the country?
Yep.
Okay.
Man, I got all excited. I was like, I know that one because I
yeah, that's great.
I used that shitty argument that the Christians use.
I will bet now that you will somehow make a connection between Kalam and Kalam. It'll be good.
The land of
all right.
Apologetics.
So, what else? What do you recognize? What's this ta?
Let's see, ta, right there. From.
Mm-hmm. So from the land.
From the land, and then that's God, bigger.
Yep. As a noun here, so it's just the God.
And then
Yen means to go. We don't have to worry about the mu, as you said.
And that ta tells us to go back to the other ta.
So if this means to go
to,
not to, and we'll say, just so it's easier in our heads, went, past tense. Walk me through this one, knowing all of that.
All right, so
I'm just going to do this. You ready? You got it.
God went to the land.
Not to.
God went from the land.
Yes, the God went away from the land.
Away from, so where did we get away?
I mean, if I were to just write,
oh, I see. Okay.
I mean, that would work, right? But I mean, it's like he went out of the land. He went away from the land. He's leaving the land.
Got it.
That's the idea. Yeah, but that's it. That's it.
Boom, roasted.
Nice work. Nice work. Very impressive.
Yeah. Dr.
Majors,
suck it.
I saw a question.
Yeah, I was going to pull that up for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Um,
The question. Oh,
I asked a question. Dr. Josh, I had a question about the use of tense. I'm probably wrong, in parentheses, based on my own biases with other languages, but it seems that there is a lot of past tense being the default. ... Correct?
yeah. You'll see that even with the maru, the present, future, the incompleted, incomplete, whatever, verbal aspect or tense, whatever, it still often is ultimately being translated into English in like a past tense for us as we translate it, because these are stories that are talking about actions that take place in the past. But don't stress about that right now. Don't stress about that right now.
Don't do it.
I've given you enough. Now, Oz, as you're now going through this, do you agree? Because the book is written for people like you. In other words, it's great for somebody who's getting ready to go into Sumerian, right? If they're going to go take Sumerian in school, they've never taken Sumerian before, and they're going to go through it. It's great, right? But it's written specifically for somebody that doesn't have a linguistics background, and they're just coming to this and they're learning the language, knowing English, and that's it. Do you agree or disagree, and feel free to say either one, that limiting the amount of actual cuneiform, actual signs to learn each week, is the right move? In other words, sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead and finish.
We get a lot of complaints, not a lot, any of the complaints that we get, so there aren't many, but any of the complaints that we get, most of them are, you need to give us more cuneiform signs. We need more cuneiform signs. And I get it, because like everybody wants to be able to read like what's up on the screen right now. I get it. The problem is that if you're actually interested in reading the language, you have to understand the grammar and the syntax. You have to understand how it goes together. So I think that it's a lot, even in the parceled up way that we've done it, I think it would be too much to give more cuneiform on top of what I've given. In fact, I don't even, as you notice, I'm not testing you on the cuneiform, because I don't think it's the most important thing right now. I just want you to understand the grammar. What do you think about that?
Whoever is sending in those complaints, well, I won't say it publicly, but you can give them my contact information. I'll tell you. I think. But no, like this is the perfect amount, and that's coming from someone that doesn't have any of the backgrounds you talked about. And when it comes to like classroom sit down, and essentially like doing homework and things like that, that's not my cup of tea, And now if I enjoy something, like I do enjoy this, or I'm passionate about something, then I can, I can put the energy into it. But if you were to take this and say, Oz, along with this, now I need you to memorize all these other things, I'd have been like, I'm no longer excited or passionate.
Yes, exactly.
Let's do it little chunks at a time. And
Yep.
even if that means I need to do this again, and watch the videos again, then that's what I'll do. And when you can take it in the the bite-sized chunks to where it's easy to to take it in and process it and all that, I think that's best for if your target audience, or consumer are people like myself, then yes. Now if you're dealing with people that already have masters and doctorates, then I would understand that argument. But for guys like or not just guys, but people like me, no, this is fucking perfect.
And if in case it's unclear, the reason that I say that I do stress learning the vocabulary each week is it's written in English characters, right? So it's not, even though it looks weird, like Uru and Lugal and whatever, it's still written in, English letters. But the reason that I want you to memorize it before you actually come to the lesson is that when I put, when you put up Lugal do 3, but you put it in an actual sentence, your brain is having to work hard enough to try to figure out what's the ta mean? Where does that, if you add into that, I don't remember what Lugal means and I don't remember what do 3 means, it becomes, as you say, overwhelming. But if you can remember what the vocabulary is, you approach that sentence much differently. It's like, I know that word, I know that word, I know that word, I know that word. And now all I have to do is think about the grammar and the syntax. So that's what's going on in my brain when I set it up this way.
No, I think it's, again, for the lay person that doesn't have any background in this, I think it's a perfect, no such thing as perfect, but I think it's as close to a perfect model for somebody that doesn't have that background to be able to do it and absorb it and actually enjoy learning it.
Yeah.
If you got something where whoever's teaching the class or wrote the curriculum or whatever, and it's just like you said, overwhelming, or it's just too much, you lose interest because it's like, this isn't enjoyable. Like I'm not enjoying learning.
I had a friend, and this is the last thing I'll say, I had a friend that was having a real tough time getting a workout routine going. And I said, well, what are you doing? He said, well, Monday I do, chest and back, or chest and tries. And so I do 3 sets of 12 with this, and then I do 3 sets of 10 with inclines. And then I take 2 dumbbell flies. And then I do, these extensions. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, so what are you doing Tuesday? Well, that's where leg day is. So then I do, and I'm like, well, if you're not a gym rat already, like, good luck with that. Cause that's the reason you're not doing it. Right. Like, get yourself a home weight set, and on Monday go out and do bench and do like 1 or 2 sets of flat bench and be done. Right. And then Tuesday, like, leave yourself wanting more. That's how you keep with something. So I agree. Yeah,
I mean, we did have one more question, a couple comments I'll throw up there, but let's see where to go. Dr. Josh, yeah, those one of the questions, do we then use language harmonization? The God left the land of the people, would that work?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the context. I mean, almost certainly it's not talking about like, like some dirt out in the steppe or something. Yeah, I mean, it's talking about like a city probably, or at least the city and the country, everything that's civilization. Yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. I mean, there are going to be cases that the context will tell you. And this is something, just as a side note, I'm glad that you said this, Pat, because had a discussion or watched a discussion today with somebody who was saying there's a word in Hebrew, and this wasn't what they were talking about, but there's a word in Hebrew, Elohim. You've probably heard it before, Elohim. It means God or gods, right? Well, there's like one place, maybe 2 in the Old Testament where it can mean angels. But the word it's used like 4,000 times in the Hebrew Bible. And 1 or 2 of those times, I think, it can mean angels. So if you see it listed in like a dictionary, it'll say God, comma, gods, comma, angels. So what do people want to do? They'll go back and they'll find their interlinear, right? They'll see all the places where Elohim puts. Oh my God, all these could be angels. Angels. In the beginning, angels created the heavens and the earth. Oh my God, this changes everything. And you're like, whoa, buddy, right? Context. So, but if somebody came up to me and said, well, is it possible that it means angels? Like, like from a lexicographic standpoint, like could the word in isolation mean that, or in a certain context? Yes. Well, that's all I need. It's like, well, okay. I mean, there's no hope for you at that point.
There's no hope for you.
So yes, context, very, very important. Very, very important.
You gonna die. No, we didn't say that. You're not gonna die. Don't demonetize us. And then a couple comments here, not questions, but I did thought they were valuable for what we were talking about here. Pat said, I've been in a couple hours a week on this, and the pace is perfect. It keeps
Awesome.
from being overwhelming. I agree. And Tobin said, I think it makes sense to me to be able to speak the language first. Infants learn to speak first before writing.
Yeah, and Tobin, I agree wholeheartedly. The difficulty, particularly in a case with an ancient language, is that you don't get immersion, right? So immersion is like, yeah. So the reason that it works is because you're in it all the time, and that's what they hear. That's where those neural pathways develop. So you can't do anything without the language. And think about how long it takes for a kid to learn it, hearing it all the time, right? You know, so in this scenario, that's why. Just by the way, it's the reason that I learned modern Hebrew before I learned biblical Hebrew, because there are lots of resources for learning modern spoken Hebrew, which meant that those, you know, the language became much easier for me to work with. So then when I went to the, you know, biblical Hebrew in its written form, I was like, oh my God, this is a breeze. So yeah, but I agree, but it's the problem of not having that availability.
I don't know why when I read that in your comments on that, it reminded me do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Say what again? I ain't never heard of no place called what?
Oh, put me in
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Damn, man. I ain't never got two things to match. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I'm mixing movies there.
You got Kool-Aid and no sugar?
Ham, no burger? Ham.
I still say one of my favorite, and then I'll read this last comment. Is from I don't know why he's classic. I don't know why I can never remember his name, but the dad on there, Ice Cube's dad. I can never remember his fucking name, but he goes in there and takes a giant, and this is going to be great for the ending of learning to read ancient Sumerian, but he goes in there and takes a huge shit, and then he comes out and he's walking around, he's like, I wouldn't go in there for about 45 minutes.
Don't nobody go in the bathroom for about 45 minutes. Somebody open a window.
That guy is hilarious. Fucking hilarious.
I grab a dog and I choke him and I kick the shit out of him. And all day, just bam, 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 foot up a dog's ass. Just bam, bam, up his ass. That's my pleasure. Around here, you're going to work, go to school. First of the month, the rent is due. You got nothing on the table. You got to worry about catching a dog. You got to worry about a dog catching your ass. Okay, sorry.
That dude is. I've never seen a movie where whether he had a big role or just a minor role, that he didn't steal multiple scenes. Where it's like,
yes,
it's like your lines weren't like hard hitting or anything, but the way you delivered them is priceless. Like when he comes out, I wouldn't go in there for about 35.
You call that game? I've seen that movie a time or two.
And so we can end this on a professional note, and
yeah.
We'll delete all that out, Dr. Josh. Don't worry about it.
You're gonna cut it into a separate video and air it. I know what's going on. It's gonna be a TikTok video.
I'm gonna make it part of one of my DJ tracks. Dr. Josh talking about taking a shit. Pat said, if this was a graduate level course, then students would be expected to be spending 10 to 20 hours a week on this. If you only have 2 to 4 hours per week available, then this is perfect with all capitals. ! I agree.
Yep.
Totally agree. So, Dr. Josh, before we rippity wrap it up, anything you'd like to say before we bounce?
No, thank you for having me. It's been great.
Cool. No, as always, thank you. Thank you for your time. And once we get through this, we'll have a playlist, everything put together on Digital Hammurabi. Or how did Justin say it the first time you met Justin? Hammurabi? This is a Digital Hammurabi. Close.
There you go. But no cigar.
But no, we'll have a playlist put together, and I think it'd be fun to. I haven't mentioned to him yet, but I thought it'd be fun at the end of it to send Pasta the recordings of it that sit in StreamYard and have him splice together like some of the cool like learning moments, but some of the times that we're bullshitting and having fun. And have a little like 10-20 minute little thing, and I think that'd be cool too. But
cool.
And then I'll put the link in here. Probably in about an hour and a half, I'll be going not here on the Tang channel because I do not want to be demonetized because of copyright stuff. But I'm recording my DJ mixtape tonight, and I'm gonna do it live because I tend to perform better under pressure. So I'm gonna do it. So if anybody wants to hang out, I'm getting ready to put the link in the chat, and you won't be able to talk to me, but you can listen as I spin records and make the musics.
Nice.
You want to hang out, you can. But I think that's it. And just remember that Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, Aunt Kathy, Nicole, Aaron, so my aunt and my 2 cousins and myself will be talking about family and religion, and we'll wrap up that series. Thanks again, Dr. Josh.
Of course.
Your boy Oz. It's good to be back with everybody, and we will see you. Well, I'll either see you tonight. We'll see you later in the week. Peace out.
Yeah, it's the Tang gang. Tang gang. What it is? What it is? Yeah, what up, Tang gang? Every time we go live, we do the damn thing. Yeah. We up in here, like Muhammad Ali, we up in here. Yeah, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. But the problem is these Christians wanna come around with these apologies, these apologetics. But guess what, it's just bullshit. Yeah, I heard you, Pastor, I told him to take it back to the pulpit. Yeah, that's that bullshit. And if you wanna get it, come get it, man, yeah, cause we spit it. What? We spit it. What? Do you wanna do it, man? We get livid. Yeah, we get sick with it. Yeah, let's get it. Yeah, the Tang gang. Tang gang. Yeah, Tang gang. Y'all know what it is.